I'd like to welcome everyone to this webinar. It's on the witch hunt which has been taking place in the Green Party, as we know. And I will let people know that there's been a complete panic around this meeting, that threats were made that people could be suspended or even expelled if they were to speak here on the platform. So we have a reduced number of speakers. Heather Mendick, who's not in the Green Party, but was backed by them when she stood for council recently. There is Feder, who was a Green candidate in Bournemouth, and she told me that she doesn't care what they do to her. She's determined to speak out, which is great. And last and probably least, myself, and I will be going last. So I'm going to ask Heather to speak first. She's written and done a lot about. No, no, can you go? Oh God, someone's calling me at the very time. Go away. This is incredibly stupid, but anyway, Heather, I'd like you to start. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. It does seem very strange to be speaking as just one of three speakers, as opposed to one of nine speakers, but I think that tells its own story. So I'm going to talk about what happened to me and try and draw out some general issues. Um, so the attack on me while I was standing for council happened relatively early in the cycle of smears. So it was in the week on the lead up to the spring conference when the Zionism is Racism motion was slated to be discussed. So there were a lot of attacks in this that week, but mine was, I think, the first. It came before, if you remember the leaked WhatsApp group messages, and then the attack the Mail did on um, Zach Polanski. It came before those. And I think one of the reasons is that I think the Labour Party right wing are very, very central to coordinating these attacks. And if you're already on their radar, I think it was just easier for them to reach out and attack me because they already knew who I was and had, you know, seen stuff about me. And I think a lot of it's about revenge. They want to kind of, if they've attacked you once, they want to make sure that you stay in your place. Um, so what happened was, in the meantime, I did find some new tweets. I didn't rely on the old ones, and they kind of upgraded me, so to speak, from being an anti-Semite to being a terrorist supporter. And the argument they made in the Daily Mail for why I was a terrorist supporter was because I tweeted things like Palestine has a right to defend itself. I tweeted that on the 7th of October, 2023, and that was used to suggest, well, you can imagine. Um, so this article came out. I was allowed to put a response in. So I said something like, um, I'm Jewish, so I feel a responsibility to speak out against Israel's war crimes. The Greens didn't say anything, which is better than saying something terrible, I guess. And then I thought, oh, that'll be okay. But off the back of that, and very, very quickly off the back of it, almost as if they knew the article was going to come out, the Daily Mail the London Labour Party put out a press release saying Zoe Garbett, who's the mayoral candidate in Hackney for the Greens, has to end her support for Heather Mendick, or has to, explain her relationship to Heather Mendick, because obviously I had such heinous views that you would have to unendorse. And that kind of led to the local Hackney citizens saying they were going to run a story. So that was kind of laundering this far right Daily Mail article into the mainstream, if you like that. London Labour press release allowed it to then be covered by the local little Hackney citizen. And so at this point, the Green Party, I think both nationally and locally, were, terrified. I think these things fill them with fear. And they don't know how to handle it. And I think as a result of fear, they do certain things. And one of those is overreact. And we've seen that over and over again where people are just suspended or withdrawn as candidates very, very quickly, without any reflection. And they obviously couldn't get rid of me as a candidate very easily because I wasn't a Green Party candidate, but they could demand that Hackney Independent Socialists drop me as a candidate. And they could say, well, if you don't, then we'll get rid of our collaboration. Because we were not just co-endorsing each other, we were running joint campaigns in 4 wards. And it was still early enough. It was a week and a half before the deadline for nominations. So it's still enough time that you could just about get new candidates in, even if you had to select 6 or 7 candidates. So this was obviously really horrible. I started to get the whole kind of stuff that happened in the Labour Party sort of came back to me. And I was really, it does have an effect on you. I was kind of upset that day. And then Hackney Independent Socialists stood by me. The Green Party pulled back from the brink. They did try to demand that I say something like there were war crimes committed on the 7th of October, or, which I didn't do. And they got over that, I think. But I felt very insecure and I kind of wanted some security and asked for it. I didn't get that. And so what I got a week later was a message from Zoe Garbett, who is a mayoral candidate and who I in Hackney and I know, and she said, want to restate how much I value the relationship with Hackney Independent Socialists and that I want your campaign to succeed. At this point, I'm really focused on door knocking, mobilising volunteers, and minimising any risks of negative media coverage for the Mayor of Hackney campaign and knock on to our ward campaigns. We think there are a couple of images of us together on the election address for Homerton, that's the ward I was standing in, that we should swap out. This isn't about withdrawing support, it's about avoiding attacks. And they really do this thing of damage control, which of course, so what they were arguing was there was a kind of leaflet that was going to come out. If you print a green candidate, you'll know this leaflet. It has a big map of where the ward you're standing in. It has lots of little photos of things you've done. All 3 candidates in that ward have done over the years in the community. And there were 2 photos of those, which were groups, which had me in and had Zoe in. And she was suggesting getting rid of those. And I was really upset about this. And I was like, I don't even want to stand as a candidate anymore if you can't even have photos of us together in a piece of literature. It just felt like a complete abandonment, which is the opposite of what you should be doing, which is supporting people who are going through shitty situations. So I said, and this was 2 days before nominations go in now. So I said, no, I'm just like, no, I'm just going to drop out. And again, it was like upsetting, I think, because there was a lot of stuff from the Labour attacks that I hadn't really dealt with in my psychically, if that makes sense. And I think people underestimate how much these things are kind of buried and then come back. But anyway, the TLDR is that the next day we had a 2-hour Zoom meeting, after which point we established that it was okay to have photos of me and Zoe Gerbert together in a new piece of election literature. So at the point I felt, okay, they've pulled back from the brink. They've given me like what I wanted. I can't drop out now. But I really wanted to drop out. I didn't actually want to win after that point. And I think like it's really important to acknowledge like what this is going to do overall, which is a lot of people are not going to want to stand as candidates. A lot of people are not going to want to stand as candidates again. A lot of people are going to change their behavior if they do want to stand as candidates. And a lot of people are going to be kept out of, it's mad that saying, I think Palestine's right to defend itself on 7th October should be a criteria for keeping you out of even a kind of lowly position of backbench councillor. But that's kind of where we're at, and it's reshaping our politics, and it's reshaping and restructuring things, and obviously that's what happened in Labour, and if it happens in the Greens again, it's just painful to watch it happening in the Greens again. And I think that's probably most of what I want to say. One of the other things which I noticed, which I think is quite fundamental, is there's a difference between people like Hackney Independent Socialists and some of the Green Party who see Israel-Palestine as a kind of matter, have an anti-colonial perspective on it, and people who the mainstream of the Green Party, which is a more human rights, international law perspective. And even though what I or other people may say may fit with an international law perspective, it is different. And the way you understand what's happening is different. The way you see what's legitimate to say and not legitimate to say is fundamentally different. And the way you understand this whole anti-Semitism crisis and the smear campaigns is different. I think, yeah, I thought a lot about that. Anyway, I'm going to stop there because I think I've had about 10 minutes. And I'm looking forward to hearing what other people and what other people think.
Okay, thank you very much, Heather, for telling us about your experiences as a candidate. Did you get elected, by the way, or not?
I didn't. We did quite well for a new Socialist Party. I got like
Yeah.
just under 900 votes, but no, and I
All
am
right.
quite, I genuinely was relieved.
Yeah, I can believe it. Okay, thank you very much. The next person to speak is Fada. If you can turn your camera on.
It is
Oh,
on.
it is on. Oh, right. Yeah. Okay, fine. I better make sure that you're spotlighted. Uh, is that okay? I hope everyone can see you. And you were a candidate in Bournemouth, but maybe you can tell us what your experiences are.
Hi everyone. Thank you for attending. This is great, and thanks, Heather. I could see and feel the pain in your voice and your words. I think it is some people get traumatized. Uh, I'm sure I have some kind of residue that will surface at certain point in time because of my experience. My experience is similar, kind of experience. Um, I was recruited by a lovely person who is with us tonight, and she did a lot for the Green Party in Bournemouth. Actually, Green Party wouldn't have picked up in Bournemouth without her and her partner. I've been recruited by them to join the Green Party. I thought, as I said before, the party is different. It's pro-Palestine. It's pro-humanity in general. And this is what attracted me because I'm Palestinian and I'm Muslim and I'm pro-humanity. I would stand against any oppression, against anyone, because if there is a single oppressed person in this world, that means everyone is a subject of oppression. So I joined first as a party member, and then the elections came, and I've been talked to actually run in the elections. I never wanted to be in a party. I never wanted to run in elections, but I'm very active. I'm like a serial activist, uh, being all my life, being a Palestinian, having to fight for myself and for my family and for other people as well. So I started the campaign a little bit late. I didn't get any support from Green Party, no leafleting. Even I had to print my own leaflets. I had to canvas for myself. I spent financially over £600 that I didn't see after that from the Green Party or anyone. And then I started running the campaign regardless because I thought Green Party has a hope, which I don't believe anymore. I even made a video at the beginning of my campaign. Somebody asked me why did I join the Green and what I think of Zach Belansky. And I said, oh, he's different. He's going to lead differently. I have hope. I think I need to delete that video from everywhere, or at least correct the video, because I do not believe that Zach Belansky is different from any other leader. I think even he's much weaker than all other leaders, because if you allow such things to happen under your watch, then you're no fit to lead a party that could achieve. So I kept running. The smearing campaign started, the usual. Gallagher from The Spectator, he started the smearing campaign, calling me a Palestinian anti-Semite. And then I ignored him. I refused even to comment, because why would I acknowledge somebody like him? Who is he for me to answer to him? And then, of course, the Jewish Chronicle picked on that, repeated the same allegations. Campaign started going even bigger and more viral, Facebook, social media. And then I received a message from the Daily Mail saying that they're going to do a piece about me. And funny enough, the message came from a number in occupied Palestine, which is referred to recently as Israel. So I was like really surprised that the Daily Mail is so stupid not even to hide the number, or it was intentional and they wanted me to see that they're backed up by Israel, frightening me as a Palestinian. They don't know that I'm sorry for the language, I do not give a damn. We lost a lot. This is another log in the fire. So I ignored her. Then later on, the Labour MP, Jessica Toll, and I called her before and I call her again, Jessica Troll, because this is what she's doing. She's trolling. So I think she should change her name to be more representative because she's a troll. She approached the Echo, Daily Echo newspaper, and she made a piece about me, calling me anti-Semitic, calling me all sorts, Jewish hater, two big pictures on the main page, on the printed paper, as well as the electronic copy, had been published. This resulted on me being attacked while I walked in the center, things thrown at my car, called me Jewish hater. I have Jewish friends. Even my brochure is endorsed by a good Jewish friend to show the support of the Jewish community, because they try, as always, to conflate Judaism with Zionism. And that's why we say these are two different things. I kept going. I refused to comment. And the night of the election, the 6th in the night, less than 11 hours to the election, somebody called me and said, "Oh, how are you feeling after the suspension?" I said, "Who got suspended?" And they said, "Oh, I'm sorry, you didn't know. Did you check your email?" So I went to my email. I couldn't find anything. Checked junk email. And there was a beautiful email from the Green Party telling me that they have to suspend me 11 hours before the elections because apparently I'm anti-Semitic. So I didn't tell anyone. I didn't even tell my own kids, friends, anyone, because I thought of the bigger picture. I thought we are fighting against the conservative and the reform. And if I tell people and supporters that this happened, they will not vote. So I thought, let's get the elections out of the way. Heather, I didn't want to win anymore, because then the fight would have been against the far right, as well as a fight against a weak party, the Green Party, that I don't feel like happy to belong to anymore. I don't know if they're gonna, like, after suspension, they're gonna dismiss me or something. But as I told Tony, I do not care. Simply, I don't care. You know, like, why would I care about a party that doesn't care about its own people? So this was the experience. When I decided to join this Zoom, I've been advised not to, because apparently we shouldn't escalate and we should try to, like, amend fences. I don't know with who. So my experience is a painful experience while dealing with the genocide against my people, while many of my cousins had been arrested. Some of our land, the last part of our land in Hebron and Bethlehem, had been acquired in the last 6 months by the settlers. So while dealing with all of that, I had to deal with the stupidity of the Green Party. And I'm sorry if I call it stupidity. And I hope it's stupidity, because if it's stupidity, then the intentions, you could say, oh, they just misjudged. But what worries me that actually is, like, there is an engineered stupidity to get rid of the people, including Muslim people, including activists, Palestinians, Palestinian supporters. So I don't think it's stupidity. It is a plan. I think the Green Party is totally corrupted. And what happened, the suspension, wasn't done properly. I submitted, and I know there is a meeting tonight, and they're going to say that we did not respond to the suspension, and this is a lie. I personally did respond. I requested every piece of information they have about me and against me and who complained. I still didn't hear from them. So I think what happened with the Labour Party, the witch hunt, Jeremy Corbyn situation is happening again, but this time it's worse, because when it happened that time, I'm sorry if I'm taking a long time. When it happened that time, at least we had freedom of speech, or England still was wearing a mask of like international human rights and so on. But now, after masks dropped, and we're seeing the true ugly face of the politics, and this is happening, I think we are doomed. I'm sad to say that I used to have some hope on the Green Party, but unfortunately, my hope at Green Party is similar to my hope at Netanyahu backing off. So it is a total disappointing experience. I'm not going to run again, and I think many people are not going to run. But I don't know what is the solution. What's going to happen? I don't know. I think God needs to deal with this because for me, hands up, I cannot do anymore. And I'm sorry if I took more than what I should be taking.
Okay, thank you very much, Fed. I know you didn't take up any more time, and it was very interesting to hear your reactions to what's happened to you. All I would say is don't give up. We don't have the right to give up when there is a genocide taking place. Now, I am handing over the chair to Heather because I'm going to be one of the speakers. So, Heather, do you want to come?
Well, I think everyone knows who Tony is, so he's going to have. I'll just give you a little bit of a reminder at 10 minutes.
Yes, if you can do that would be
Cool,
good. And
perfect.
I'll also. Am I spotlighted for everyone? I'm not sure. Yeah, I think I am.
You are. Yeah, it's fine.
Right, fine. Okay. I think you all know my name. I was the first Jewish person to be expelled from the Labour Party as a result of the anti-Semitism smear campaign. That they never actually accused me of anti-Semitism. I've now achieved the record of being the first Jewish person to be expelled from the Green Party as well. So I might ask the Guinness Book of Records for some recognition of my achievements. But the Green Party, unlike the Labour Party, has actually accused me of anti-Semitism. So I have told them that I will sue them for defamation if they don't retract that and retract my expulsion with it. So that is the background to this meeting. And because a scare campaign was waged in the days leading up to this webinar, there are fewer speakers than we originally had. Some pulled out for their own reasons, and I quite understand why some people didn't want to risk expulsion, but Greens for Palestine, which was sponsoring this meeting, in fact still is sponsoring this meeting, took fright. And I think sometimes that when they come after you, it's not a wise tactic to simply run away, because however fast you run, they will catch up with you eventually. So my advice to people is to stand up and not be afraid of those who are using the Green Party machinery in order to defame people and to make false accusations of anti-Semitism. And just to say about the accusations of anti-Semitism, that it is not anti-Semitic to oppose genocide, it is not anti-Semitic to oppose ethnic cleansing, and it's not anti-Semitic to oppose what Israel is doing in the region, whether it's the invasion of Lebanon, Syria, bombing Iran, or the genocide in Gaza, which continues to this day. Anti-Semitism is a very simple thing. It's hostility or hatred of Jews as Jews, no more, no less. It's not criticism. There is no criticism you can make of Israel that is anti-Semitic, for the very simple reason that Israel is not a human being. It's not a person. It's a state, and states behave in the way that states always do. And to say that it's anti-Semitic to criticize a state is really to imagine that a state can be a person, which is what the Zionists say. They say it's the Jew amongst the nation. So that is totally absurd. With the genocide in Palestine, we saw obviously the Labour Party has given full support The Labour front bench, the government, and virtually all of its MPs have given full support to the genocide, with the exception of one or two, a handful of Labour MPs. It was hoped, and I joined your party in the hope that it could provide a left alternative to the Labour government. Unfortunately, Jeremy Corbyn decided it had to be a tightly controlled party and not by its members. So I joined the Green Party, which at that time had pretty radical policy on Palestine. It had passed motions condemning the genocide, the only political party to condemn the genocide. It had described the IDF as a terrorist organization, and so it was much further along the line towards the positions that we want to take than any other party. However, a number of things happened. Firstly, the moving of Zionism is racism motion was a watershed moment for the Green establishment, people like Caroline Lucas, and that was a line they did not want to cross. So what, in essence, they were saying, and this is very clear, is they're happy to condemn Israel's human rights abuses, including the genocide, but they're not willing to condemn or criticize the system and the state and the ideology and the movement, Zionism, which causes those human rights abuses. If I can give you an analogy, it's like saying during apartheid in South Africa that you would condemn the human rights abuses of the white supremacist regime, but you're not willing to condemn apartheid, the ideology and movement that gave birth to all of those human rights abuses. And that is, in essence, the position of the Green Party today and those who resist the Zionism is racism motion, which I hope will be passed at the autumn conference. But we can expect very severe opposition from those in power. For instance, Caroline Lucas, and I'm going to try and share my screen if I can. Yes, this is an interview with Caroline. I'm not sure. Yeah, can everyone see this?
We can't see. I'm not. Oh, yeah, we can now.
Yeah. Okay, this is an interview in a magazine called The House, whatever that is. And she says, in essence, well, she says there is a vast difference between criticising the Israeli government and using terms about which Jewish Greens and others have raised concerns. She stresses Zionism can be interpreted in so many different ways, and there was a concern that some people thought the motion was talking more about individual Jewish people rather than the Israeli government. I mean, if she really believes that, she hasn't read the motion, because the motion is about Zionism and the Israeli state. It's got nothing whatsoever to do with the behaviour of Jewish people. And then she went on to say, it is up to the party to decide what to discuss, adding, but she hopes the debate is held in a less toxic way next time. In other words, you can criticise Israel, but you shouldn't do so in a way that is toxic. Now, I'm not quite sure how you do criticise a regime which has torture centres established for Palestinian prisoners, which has barred the Red Cross even from visiting them. And they had a debate in the Knesset yesterday, although the motion was defeated to bar the Red Cross after a Supreme Court ruling. It was passed by a narrow majority, which is likely to be overturned. So we have, in essence, a state which is the only state where torture is official and legal, trying to bar the Red Cross because it knows what the consequences of that decision will be. And Caroline is telling us that we have to be less toxic about what we say about Israel. I mean, I seriously wonder whether she would have told people during the Third Reich that you've got to be less toxic about criticizing Nazi Germany because you might offend German people in this country. I mean, it is an absolute absurdity, but that was the position of Caroline Lucas. And incidentally, when she says Zionism means different things to different people, well, of course, many people have different ideas of what Zionism means in their head. But to me, Zionism is what Zionism does. It's what Palestinians experience on the ground, the ethnic cleansing, the segregation, the beating up, the burning of olive trees, and all the rest of it. That is what Zionism is. If people imagine a different Zionism, that's fine. But we have to go with what Zionism does and nothing more. But as I say, the Green Party did change, not least with the election of Zach Polanski, its first Jewish leader. And I do think he has pushed back and he has been far more articulate, for example, than Jeremy Corbyn was. And it's interesting that when the Board of Deputies recently held a march against anti-Semitism, it invited Nigel Farage, who'd been telling fellow pupils when he was younger, Gassam, and so on. But they failed to invite the only Jewish member, Jewish leader of a political party, which I think shows that when the Zionists go on about anti-Semitism, they don't mean anti-Semitism, they mean anti-Zionism. But the Green Party, as a result of the election of Zach and the falling apart of your party, achieved something like 18% in the polls, and it was even ahead of the Tory and the Labour parties. And given the policy that they'd already had and the prospect of more
10
to
minutes.
come, right, thank you, Heather. There was a massive Zionist backlash over the local elections, and people like Feder received the full backlash and bore the brunt of that backlash as well. And this was again a repeat of everything in the Labour Party. And the Green Party had a choice. It could either stand up to those who were making the allegations, or it could cave in. And what it did was it caved in and it suspended candidate on the allegations made by papers like, as Freda said, the Daily Mail. Now, the Daily Mail is probably the last party to accuse anyone of anti-Semitism because it's famous in the 1930s for saying hurrah for the black shirts. Its owner, Viscount Rothermere, was an overt supporter of Hitler right up to 1939 when the war broke out. Indeed, the Daily Mail never apologised for its pro-Hitler stance, and the Daily Mail ran a campaign against bogus Jewish refugees from Nazi Germany. So for the Daily Mail now to adopt a pro-Zionist stance, which is logical, but to then accuse people of anti-Semitism is really the height of hypocrisy, nothing more and nothing less. Now, it is understandably can be pro-Zionist and anti-Semitic, because after all, if you don't want Jews in your country, then Zionism is a really good solution. You send them to Palestine. Indeed, Zionism, which was Christian in origin, it wasn't Jewish in origin. Jews adopted it very late in the day. Christian Zionism preceded Jewish Zionism by 4 centuries. And the Christian Zionists came up with the idea of a Jewish return to Palestine, which was anti-Semitic, because if you say they're returning to Palestine, it means they don't really belong where they live. And so the whole basis of Zionism is really a reflection of anti-Semitism. And I say, when I joined the Labour Party, the Green Party rather, I was targeted by both the Jewish Chronicle and the Telegraph. And again, that was a repetition of my experience in the Labour Party. And the Jewish Chronicle focused on a statement I'd made at the Palestinian event in 2019, where I spoke from the floor at Palestine Expo meeting, and I said that Israel was Hitler's bastard offspring. And of course, the Jewish Chronicle, the Community Security Trust, and the Zionists reacted with outrage. And I was actually saying that Hitler was the offspring of Hitler's Germany. But when we look today and see that 60% plus of Israelis support the extermination of Palestinians in Gaza, when the majority of Israelis, 56%, support the deportation of Israeli Palestinians, when 80% support ethnic cleansing in Gaza, who can deny that Israel bears a very great similarity to Nazi Germany? The war was kicked off, or not the war, the attack on Gaza by Yoav Gallant, the defense minister, who called Palestinians human animals. And this was the exact phrase that Heinrich Himmler, the head of the SS, also used about Jews in a famous speech on the 6th of October 1943 in Posen, when he went on to say that we have to kill Jewish children in order that they don't come back as avengers of their parents. And exactly the same arguments were used by Rabbi Mali of the Bnei Moshe Yeshiva and other figures in the Zion, in the Knesset.
Tony, sorry to interrupt. You've got 30 seconds.
30 seconds. I'll ask
Yeah.
for a couple of minutes, if that's okay. I said I was expelled from the Green Party, and I just wanted to bring up a couple of the clips, if I can.
Well, you hit 15 minutes pretty much now, so I think you should probably questions.
I will leave it till later. I will obey the chair. So thank you very much, and I'll come back later on some of the things that I would have said. Thank you. And shall I take over the chair now as well? It's entirely up to you, Heather. Okay. If people can raise their hands, I will. Sarah Lazenby and two others have raised their hands. Give me a moment just to seeing how I allow you to speak.
It's allowed Sarah to talk. I can handle that.
Could you do that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
Sarah's up.
Great.
Are you there, Sarah? Yeah, I'm taking it away. I'm going to allow Mike to talk instead. Mike, I hope you're there.
Yeah, I'm here.
If we can see your camera.
No, don't see that. Invisible camera.
Okay.
Shall I talk without a camera?
If you can't put your camera on, yes.
Yeah, well, I just don't see it. Sorry. I'm in Suffolk, which has, well, where the main opposition now to reform county council are the Greens. The Greens have been building strength there by being good local councillors, and they are good local councillors, dealing with things and listening to people. But, we know in the rise of Zach that the opposition came from the so-called countryfile Greens, and I think there are quite a few of these around here. Local MP, my MP, in fact, is Adrian Ramsey for Waveney Valley. Now, Adrian is a really nice guy. He's very responsive. He produces responses that are totally different to the kind of nonsense that, for instance, a Starmerite Labour MP for Ipswich comes up with, Jack Abbott, who's just a nodding donkey, and then he disappears when people challenge him. Adrian is diligent, but he is far too polite, not prepared to challenge. I have seen Ellie Chowns in clips from the House of Commons actually lay into people like Lammy and the government ministers about being stronger against Israel. But yeah, I think the influence of St. Caroline is very important. St. Caroline has mixed for far too long with the kind of folks who want to rejoin the EU and believe in all-party alliances. She's a compass type person, and she doesn't want to offend those people. And it's a lack of moral courage. They are, they know, and Zach and people around Zach certainly know what the issues are, but they're not prepared to, you know.
Mike, someone in the chat has suggested people have a minute limit to
Yeah,
speak. I'm giving you
okay.
2 minutes.
I think I've made the point. It
Cool.
really is around, we need to be able to stand up against those people within the Green Party. They are dipping in the polls at the moment. Isn't that interesting? Because they have gone on to the defensive. They started to try and accommodate. So it's not in their interest. It's certainly not in our interest or Palestine's interest.
Okay, thank you very much, Mike. Sarah was next. I tried to promote her to panelist, but she declined. So,
I think she might not want to ask a question now, perhaps.
oh,
So,
right, because I
Peter
thought,
Wilson's up there. I don't know who. Did you put Peter up there? Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, hello. Hi, Tony and Heather, and hi, Feder. It's me and Jackie here in Bournemouth. Hello, everybody. I'll try and keep it brief. I think I just wanted to say, like, I'm really proud of Feder for speaking here today, and it's great to be able to be here and support. I'm in the BCP Green Party as events coordinator. But I think what I've said it in the chat, and I think, you know, what I'd like to think about is pragmatically, is there any way we can find out who is making the decisions around suspension? Or is it something that, you know, it's this person tells this person that tells this person, or it's just something that might not ever be able to be kind of discerned? And then also, what I've been trying to do to clear up the rhetoric around the bad actors and the smear campaigns is I talk about my uncle Martin, the genocide scholar. He was one of the first people in the world to say what was happening in Palestine was a genocide, and he's joined the Greens. And I've been really trying to help, you know, get him on board politics with Zach, or just, you know, help to cut through the digital noise and the misinformation to just clearly have kind of a bit of a, I guess, scholarly look at it, and so we're not just running around in circles. And but I really I agree with what people have said in the chat. It's I just feel like none of this is the intent. None of this is based in reality. It's to confuse, to waste time, to burn us out, and to cause confusion and, you know, tire us. And I look at what's happening with us, and like with Corbyn, and I'm thinking, okay, so how can we? I guess what I wish was happening with councillors is that they just don't. It's not that they don't talk about these issues. It's just that we have very clear statements, like Tony said today. It's not rocket science what we're saying around Zionism and things like that, and it's deliberate to conflate the two, and to give any credence to any of the like the way they've suspended people. It's just so utterly wrong, and it won't work kind of trying to be middle of the ground. Like, it won't. We have to take a stand against this, and it's very clear and it's very simple. And I did believe when Zach was here last October, I saw him and I arranged the party. That's how I joined. And I saw him dance and I felt hope again. And I thought, this is someone, and I've seen him speak up, you know, on Good Morning Television and just, you know, really put people in their place. So it confuses me. It doesn't feel, for me, from the brief stuff, I've never met him personally or talked for a long time, but like, what I'm just trying to triangulate what is the, you know, the issue. And and I know it's really hard for everyone to stay positive, but I think the best thing's been said in the chat, which is to answer my own question I had. I'm going to wrap up, which was like, what can we do? And it was to help get the Zionism as racism passed in the autumn conference. But in the meantime, I welcome any pragmatic things that we can do, and you know, whatever route, you know, I welcome any suggestions really, and how we can mobilize and organize to do that. Thanks.
Right, thank you very much, Peter. Malcolm, you didn't want to be promoted to the panelist, but if I can find you, then I'll let you speak from where you are.
I've put Malcolm, I've given him right to speak.
Okay, oh right, fine. There he is.
I'm not, you can't see me. Oh,
No, we can't see you.
I'm not allowed to be seen. Okay. I'm not part of any Green Party, your party. I was briefly in the Green Party. But one of the things that Tony has said repeatedly is you should think of the Zionists as exactly like the Nazis. And a lot of people sort of, you know, say, well, that's a bit steep. But I recommend that everybody reads a very readable book called Palestine Hijacked by Thomas Suarez. And what he did, he looked at police and army reports from Palestine from the 1930s and 40s. And they endlessly reference the behavior of the Zionists in Palestine to the Nazis. They say over and over again, it seems like they're Nazis, it seems like the so on. And so I think this business of comparing Zionists to Nazis, which is a very fair comparison as far as I can make out, not having been subjected to the wrath of either of them, is if you read this book, and I think people should read it, it says that years ago, but because these reports, I suppose, were under a 40-year rule, didn't come out. Tony will know all about this, I'm sure. They say blatantly over and over again that they say about, I can't remember which one it is, of the person who became a prime minister, but he was interviewed by a British policeman and said he makes Al Capone look like an amateur. I mean, these were the sort of people you're dealing with, the sort of people who would bomb Jewish cafes in Iraq to try and frighten Jews to come to Palestine. I mean, that's what these people do. So what they're doing nowadays is no surprise at all. And why anybody with the remotest moral compass would say, I'm a Zionist, like in fact Andy Burnham does, interestingly, is extraordinary to me. It's absolutely extraordinary, because I mean, would Starmer stand up and say, well, actually, I have always been a Nazi sympathizer? I mean, give me a break here, will you? And why don't people just wise up, for Christ's sake? Thank you.
Okay, I think Sarah is next. Sarah, can you unmute? I've asked Sarah to unmute, but
Oh, she said it's the wrong Sarah. So she doesn't want to speak.
oh right, okay.
So
Is there anyone else who wants to speak?
Yeah, does anyone have any questions? Actually, that would be good. Ah, Claire Brown. I'm going to give you allowed to talk, Claire. Go for it.
Yeah, I'm just want to ask the question that, and I can ask it to anyone who wants to respond to it, really. And that's, can you see a very strong, way in which holding the webinar this evening and supporting the Zionist is Racism Motion at conference in October are both part of the same fight, which is to end impunity for Israel's genocide of the Palestinian people? I think that I think it's all completely and utterly connected. Standing up against smears of anti-Semitism, which are not anti-Semitism, as we've said, because they're criticism of the Israeli state, they're anti-Zionism, is one of the biggest things that we have to do in the Green Party. So I think we can't be silenced on it. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, shall I answer that?
Yeah.
Go for it.
I mean, all of this stuff about anti-Semitism is really just so much glitter.
Yeah.
It's not real. What is happening in reality is that Britain, from 1956 onwards, when the United States told it to get out of Suez, is that we have been joined at the hip with the United States in its imperialist adventures almost continually. And that is what motivates British foreign policy, its support for the United States. Now, there are problems that have developed with Trump, we know, because Trump is engaging in really what is a hyper-imperialism, not only threatening Canada and Greenland and Cuba, but of course bombing Iran. So, I mean, he's broken every promise he made about forever wars when he stood, but we shouldn't be too surprised about that. And that is what lies at the basis of British support for Israel. That Israel is far more than just another state of the United States. People often say it's a 51st state, but it's not. It's an integral part of the United States projection of power in the Middle East. It's fundamental to US foreign policy, and therefore it's fundamental to our foreign policy. So the reason why the Labour government supports the genocide in Gaza is not because they like seeing the killing of hundreds of thousands of people. It's because, in their view, they see no choice because Britain is an imperialist power. And that is why, when it comes to it, the allegations of anti-Semitism are made. Jews in this country are used as the moral alibi for what imperialism does. I mean, imperialism did that continually. It didn't say it went into India in order to drain it of all its wealth. It said it went into India to civilize the people and abolish sati and do all manner of good things. Very few imperialist powers act in the same way as Donald Trump, who doesn't bother to hide the fact that he wants to steal everybody's oil. So really, that is at the bottom of this. And it's a complete distraction when they accuse people of anti-Semitism, because we know that's not what it's about. I mean, my dad in the 30s was involved in the Battle of Cable Street. And he told me that the police were total bastards. You know, they would call you dirty Jew without a moment's thought. Many of them supported Oswald Mosley's British Union of Fascists. But today the police are really concerned about anti-Semitism, so much so that they arrested me for a racially aggravated offence a couple of years ago when I compared Israel to Nazi Germany. They dropped the charges and I'm presently taking them to court. But the fact is that the police have been told that Jews are their favourite clients, the favourite colonial pets of the British government. And that's why when two people were stabbed in Golders Green, a special police unit was established, mass hysteria. But when mosques get burnt out, when Muslims get stabbed, like in Edinburgh last week, nothing is said and nothing is done. The hypocrisy is amazing. But the Green Party, of course, the leaders of the Green Party want to be part of the establishment, and they understand that very well. And that's what Caroline Lucas and co are about. And that is what we have to deal with and what we have to recognise as well. Thank you.
Feda wants to come in, and then I've got two more questions. Feda, you're on mute.
Oh, sorry. I just want to thank Claire for bringing up this point, and I want to actually build on what Claire said. We need to push, even if I get like expelled or people who are staying, they need to attend and they need to push for this motion because it's the slightest hope left. So I think everybody should do their level best to support Lubna Speitan and her team. passing this motion, because Zionism is racism. So let's put this on our agenda for October conference.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got someone, Banafsheh Brooke, who's
Hi.
next.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, no.
Is she gone or what?
She's gone.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. There you go. That should sort it now.
Hello?
Yeah, perfect.
So can we get an update on the latest? Like, I don't even know the details about, is there a limit to when the suspension, a date that you're given, or have they told you the details of everything and come back to you? Are they communicating with you? Is there a time when you're going to meet with them in a room and talk over it and have people there to support you? So I'd like some of the details, but also, I'm not surprised because I suppose, like a lot of us, we've joined the Greens because where else is there to go, really? And there's a bit of a culture. So when I'm, the odd bit of door knocking I've done or something, people are very ready to say, oh, it's just Netanyahu, or just comments will be made all the time, or things like Zionism is racism. That's just a distraction, or there's a lot of that kind of culture in the Green Party, and yeah, it's I don't know how we fight back on it, but I think part of the fight should have been. I'm a bit upset that Greens for Palestine tonight, they didn't all join in, because actually, in the end, if they were all suspended, then wouldn't that just be an embarrassment for the Green Party? And at the end of the day, if the Green Party lose loads of people when it comes to the next, autumn conference, that's their loss, because a lot of us have come to the Green Party because of the stance on Palestine. So I'll stop there anyway. But yeah, I'd like to know the details of the latest on what's going on. Thanks. With your suspensions.
So I can't answer that because I'm not suspended because I'm not a member of the Green Party. Happily. So that's for the other two speakers.
I'm happy to give you what happened in my case. We had zero support. The local party actually was very bad in their support. Actually, what happened on the night of the suspension, about 2 o'clock in the morning, 2 a.m., the co-chair of the local party, who's running in the election in the same ward as myself, went and kicked me out of all the WhatsApp groups. He couldn't even wait until the morning. He went and kicked me out. And on the day of the election, at the voting stations, people were informed, though I didn't inform anyone, including my family. People actually were informed that I've been suspended, so I'm no longer a candidate, though my name was on the ballot. So people were confused, should we vote, we shouldn't vote. So I didn't get any support. I got good support from a small group of people in the Green Party who came to me as people, as individuals, and gave me moral support, and we started looking into what happened. After that, I asked for through the form about the information they hold against me and what actually happened. I didn't get any response until now. That was sent on the 8th of May. And I received an email like today. I found it in my junk, actually, because I'm traveling a couple of days ago. They saying that they're looking into my suspension, and they sent me name of my representative, but that's it. So I don't know what's going on, but no support, no decision, because I don't think they have like a legal ground for the suspension they did. So yeah, that is my experience. With Tony, I think it ended up more ugly. So I'll leave it to Tony to talk about his experience.
I'm happy to do that if you want. If I share my my screen. On the 6th of April, this not the 6th, the 16th of April, which was 2 weeks after joining the party, an anonymous complaint was made. I've still not been told who made it. I was suspended. This is the form which suspended me, saying documented history of anti-Semitism, there isn't any, including court decisions, there isn't any, and recent terrorism charges. I'm being prosecuted under the Terrorism Act for support for a prescribed organisation, Hamas, because I supported the uprising on October the 7th, but that is nothing more. Then on the 29th of June, I was sent an expulsion notice. And what that said was that, and here's the basis of the basis on which they expelled me: multiple breaches of 4/8 suspension, which is a fast track suspension. They don't say what those breaches are. This decision considered Tony Greenstein's actions post-suspension insofar as I was afforded a right to reply. He said, and it then goes on, and this is the crucial paragraph: despite the repeated instances of anti-Semitism that led to TG's suspension, even though in the suspension document itself it had never mentioned any instance of anti-Semitism, I have displayed no contrition or regret, but rather sought to solidify his lack of any regret for any previous action by way of seeking to publicly portray those involved in the original decision in a negative light, which I think is the main reason for the expulsion. Furthermore, I've not only failed to show any regret or remorse, but have sought to portray GP Green Party England and Wales negatively to seek to distance itself from his activities and opinions, to include making false allegations concerning party members. I mean, that is simply a load of rubbish. I mean, it's simply untrue. It's a lie. And Laura Reckott, who chairs the Green Party Council and is an open and declared Zionist who was part of the filibustering of the motion at the spring conference, was responsible for that. But the amazing thing is, although I was expelled on the 7th of May, I was only informed on the 29th of June. So why did it take them 7 weeks to inform me of my expulsion? I can only assume that they had to get approval from the leadership, or some in the leadership, before they could inform me of the expulsion. Either way, I put in a subject access request to find out exactly what was being discussed and so on. But the main thing about that is I was suspended on the basis of documented anti-Semitism, which doesn't exist, and then expelled for repeated instances of anti-Semitism, which I didn't show any regret for. I mean, this is really Alice in Wonderland stuff. I mean, it's absurd. But by accusing me of repeated instances of anti-Semitism, they have made libelous and defamatory remarks, and they will have to prove it in a court of law. And I suspect they're going to have great difficulty in doing that. I also suspect that, unlike the Labour Party, which was careful not to accuse me of anti-Semitism, but abuse and so on, the Green Party has just gone overboard, or rather the Zionists in it. And the main Zionist who's leading in the Green Party is Elisa Benjamin, an absolutely overt racist who called Mothin Ali, the deputy leader, an anti-Semite, and said she wouldn't be in the same room as him. But she has not been disciplined, and that's not surprising, given she is close buddies with Caroline Lucas. So I'll leave it at that. But I shall be blogging about it so people can read about it in greater detail later on.
Yeah, can I just say one thing before we bring in Agnes? So I think this is the first way that they radically departed from the Labour playbook on this, and the kind of patterning of it. Like, Labour was much, Labour, it makes me feel like the Greens are kind of amateurs and not sure what they're doing, and it's all a bit chaotic. Because what Labour would do is accuse you of anti-Semitism and expel you for something generic, like bringing the party into disrepute or damaging the party's capacity to campaign against racism. And things that they just couldn't be sued for at all, particularly because the courts don't like interfering in party matters. And they also got a judgment which allowed them to not answer subject access requests when they related to disciplinary matters. So everything was completely hidden and completely obscure, but they could always use the thing of this person was expelled from the party after accusations of anti-Semitism, as if these things were connected. And I think this is really different in the Green Party. It does make me feel like there's more gaps and places for intervention and possibilities of challenge in the Green Party than there ever was within Labour, which felt like it was a complete stitch up. And as much as there are establishment Greens like Karen Lucas, there are not as many, and they haven't got as many institutional groupings and bodies behind them as in Labour Party. You compare the position of Jewish Greens to the Jewish Labour movement, there is no comparison. The Jewish Labour movement could put someone onto the disciplinary committee automatically through the structures. So that's me trying to be a bit optimistic. Okay, Agnes, do you want to have your thoughts or question now?
Yeah. So I can't see myself, but can you hear me?
We can hear you perfect, yeah.
Oh my God, I almost left now. Okay, I nearly did the wrong click. Okay, so I'm going to be very boring here, but I still want to say it, and everybody should feel totally free to quote me. I mean, I am a Jewish Holocaust child survivor, but more importantly, I've been a volunteer Holocaust researcher and presenter for the past 70 years. Yeah, 70 years. And my next Holocaust talk is next week in a state school in Harpenden. So, what I'm trying to say is that I do know what anti-Semitism is. And all these anti-Semitism accusations and campaigns, and now anti-Semitism in the NHS and anti-Semitism here and there and everywhere, total rubbish. Total rubbish. Nothing to do with anti-Semitism. I know what anti-Semitism is, and please feel free to quote me on this. And I can show you documentation about anti-Semitism, how it was built up during the 20th century. So, yes, I mean, I know what anti-Semitism is because I engaged in Holocaust research, and I keep doing it. And by the way, what's happening with the Israelis and Palestine is exactly the same thing. So there's no difference whatsoever, except that the oppressed became the oppressor. And so unfortunately, it's very tragic. It's not done in my name, definitely not done in my name. And so I'm making my voice heard all the time. Now, on a personal level, I got very excited here. Peter Kelly, did he say that his uncle Martin wrote a book about genocide in Gaza, or did I just mishear?
He said his uncle was the first person to call what Israel's doing to Palestinians a genocide.
And did he say that he was called Martin?
His name's in the chat, but I'm imagining that he'll write his name in the chat and put links in now.
Okay. Oh, right. Okay. Thank you. Right. Perfect. I'm going to write to Martin Shaw straight away now. Okay. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Agnes. And that's a particularly important contribution coming from someone who survived the Holocaust in Hungary as a child. I mean, that is first-hand testimony. I think the next person up is Samar. Is that not correct? Samar?
Yes. Hi, Tony.
Yeah, hello, Sam.
Hi. I'm gate crashing this meeting. My name is Sam. I'm a Lib Dem, so sorry, guys.
We forgive you. I thought you'd been expelled from them.
No, well, no, this is why I came on. So I'm a Worcestershire County Councillor and a District Councillor in Bromsgrove, and I have been suspended. I can't go into the details of the suspension, but like others, I have been subject to a campaign, and the campaign is ridiculous. I put a post about the Labour Party, and they turned that into anti-Semitism, and it's mostly Labour Jewish movement who was quoted in an article of Jewish news. My post said that the NEC is controlled by political thugs who are influenced by the Israeli lobby. They don't care. They've already purged people on the left, the Palestinian voices, those who want nationalization. Keir Starmer is a dictator. He parachuted people up and down the country to become MPs who are, in the end, paid brain dead and will just do what the paymasters tell them. So all that in the middle, they deleted it and they put the Israeli lobby and paymasters words together and they said that I am anti-Semitic. So it was about the elections, just like everybody else. Around the elections, things get hyped up and what have you, and people, I suppose, get suspended. I'm really interested in the processes for the Labour Party. I'm ex-Labour as well, Labour, Lib Dem, and Greens. Now, I went on a journey of finding sort of what's happening, and it turned out that you could suspend me from the membership, but I'm still a Lib Dem councillor. Because there is standing orders in council groups, and the suspension was without prejudice, and those two words really matter. So FIDA said that they started telling people about her suspension, but if it was without prejudice, then that would constitute a break of the party rules. And I'm just interested in connecting with people who know the party rules and sort of like to share sort of where we are in different parties and how we can challenge it. I did fork out and challenge Jewish News. I got Biedemans to write to them. They forced them to put my response, which obviously I doubled down that it's got nothing to do with Jewish people. And then they forced them to take my photographs down because, as it happens, the photos on the council websites, I'd taken them. So Biedemans forced them. They said you're not licensed. And now the third thing is actually they're asking them for money for using my photos in the first place. And I feel I feel like we just need some more legal people on the Palestine side to help us navigate these things. But I'm really interested in connecting with anybody who wants to discuss processes and compare them, and in order to help people who do get suspended, just walk them through the process, because the worst thing that is the agony of waiting and not knowing your rights. And I think that's it. We need to start knowing the rights of people on the Palestine side, whichever party you're on, because Jewish Labour movement went after me, even though I'm a Lib Dem, and it worked. All right, thank you. Oh, I can't hear you, Tony. You're
muted.
Yes, you're right. The Jewish Labour movement also wrote twice to the Green Party, warning them that ex-Corbynites were joining, and they were going to have an influx of what they called anti-Semites. So the Jewish Labour movement seems to be a pan-party group. It sees as its obligation to warn everyone about anti-Zionist joining. So that's the nature of the beast, and they are, of course, the overseas wing of the Israeli Labour Party, which initiated the Nakba, carried out the Nakba. Okay.
Tony, just one thing to mention about Jewish Labour movement. The chair of the Jewish Labour movement, Ella Rose, used to work in the embassy, Israeli embassy, and her partner, she was forced to declare interest. She lost her seat. Well done, Greens. Well done. She lost her seat in May, but before she loses her seat, she had declared that her partner works in the BBC. So there's a connection on the website. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, well, there's no one else's hand up. I'd like to give, before we close this, it has been an excellent webinar. 5 minutes to Heather and to Feder, if you want to say any final closing remarks.
Okay, so yeah, it's been really nice to be here. Thank you to Tony for organising it and other people who were involved in that. It is, I think, really good to talk about these things. I think a lot of times when people are accused of anti-Semitism, that people feel I experience a kind of sense of shame around it. I've noticed this. I never really did, I think, because I never thought I was anti-Semitic, probably because I'm Jewish, but I have noticed that some people do think that well, maybe they had said something wrong, or maybe they had, and they keep it kind of private, the allegations, and particularly because also there's often these very, very harsh warnings on these. There certainly was the Labour Party, don't tell anyone this is happening. You know, this will make it worse, and they can expel you just for kind of making it public. And so you end up kind of internalizing these things. And I think the more we can encourage a culture of openness, and we can see tonight the fact that 6 people haven't felt able to speak who were supposed to be speaking, is really showing how they force people into compel people to kind of silence themselves. And I think that has all sorts of effects on people sort of psychologically, politically, in terms of how much of an activist they feel like they can carry on being. So I think it's been really good to be able to speak openly, and I hopefully other people have found it useful. I do think these things are and not simply about Palestine. They're very much about Palestine, but I think a lot of it is just this is a very good generalized attack on the left. And it's to try and keep all sorts of aspects of the left out of the public sphere. And I think this is really where it's so misguided, where people think, oh, you know, I don't want to get involved in these allegations. Let's just try and damage control. Let's just try and, you know, keep, you know, that one's quiet now. Let's not worry about it, which is exactly what Jeremy Corbyn did. And exactly what I'm sure the Green Party will do on the Zionism racism motion. Like try to manage it, try and damage control it. You can see it with what Caroline's doing at the moment. The interview that Tony brought up on the screen is all about how, well, maybe we can do a different version of this motion that isn't as, you know, contested or whatever. What word she used? Toxic. And you can't do that because it's an existential battle for supporting Palestine and supporting people everywhere who are struggling and who are just being able to speak out on the left in this country and be electable, be able to put forward as a candidate without people worrying. And I think it's like such a misguided position to think you can damage limit, that you can keep out of the fight. And this is the thing which really frustrates me about a lot of Greens locally who I really like. I remember asking one of them quite early on, soon after Jeremy Corbyn lost the 2019 general election, so probably the following year. Well, that was COVID, so maybe it was a year after, I don't know. You know, why didn't you get involved in defending us? Why didn't you stand up for us? And he said, well, I thought it was just like an internal Labour Party thing. I didn't think it had anything to do with us. I think we have to get away from the idea that this is like somehow a side issue. And if you have time for an issue, and it's only if it's in your party, if it's only if you happen to be suspended or someone you know has to be suspended. And it's much more about shaping political life. It's a very, very anti-Semitic allegations, terrorism allegations, and incredibly powerful repressive tools that we can see being taken up by the state now. Once the Labour Party had found these useful, the state has taken them on and is taking them, as you said, into the NHS. But also we've got I think it's the last day where you can contribute to the open inquiry on anti-Semitism in schools and educational institutions. And there again, we're policing what teachers can say, how children can behave, how parents can engage with schools. It's really a massive fight, and I think we should. Yeah, we really have to take it on and think very strategically about how we do it and about learning from the previous experiences we had. So yeah, I think this has been very helpful in that. So I'll stop there.
Okay, thank you very much, Heather. Feder, would you like to say something? You're muted.
First, I would like to thank Tony for insisting on having the webinar and for Heather to co-chair as well. I think it was very important to talk about the experience, not to criticize, but because talking about a problem is half of the solution. And I think putting all our brains together and efforts together, I'm sure there should be a solution, because we cannot just give up. We need to keep fighting. I would like to tell people that there is no, when they say it's damage control, I think the first damage that we need to control is the genocide, is the engineered famine. There shouldn't be like a nice way talking about genocide. We don't have to be gentle. We don't have to walk on eggshells. We don't have to apologize, because one of the people in the Green Party, when I've been accused, and they said, oh, would you consider like some kind of comment or a soft, they called it soft apology. And I said, yeah, for sure, I will do that if they apologize for Nakba 1 and apologize for Nakba 2 and go and apologize to every mother who lost a child and to every child who lost a parent. When they do all of this, then I'll apologize for anything. I'll apologize for the Big Bang that happened million years ago. When they do their part, we'll do our part. So we don't need to be careful hurting their feelings, because it's not feelings that are being hurt at the moment. It's actual people. It's actual babies. It's actual mothers. There are like rivers of blood shedding, and we're still concerned about who said what and at which tone. I'm sorry, you know, like, I'm sorry for myself, not for them. We need to stand, we need to fight, whether we are in Labour, in Green, whether we are in Lib Dem. Lib Dem, you owe me one, you ruined my untwinning motion, you diluted that, but we'll talk about this later, Sam. I left you my number in the comments. So let's stay strong, let's keep fighting, let's end this corruption in the Green Party. And if Green Party doesn't work, we will find a party that works at the end, because genocide should end and Palestine should be free and will be free very soon. So I would like to end with, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free.
Okay, thank you very much, Feda, for that rousing speech. I absolutely agree with you. We have nothing to apologise for. It's they who should be apologising for the fact that they've covered for a genocide which has involved starving people, starving children to death, burning children and families alive. The horrors continue to go on. And for someone like Caroline Lucas to say we should find a less toxic way of discussing this is really outrageous, to be quite frank. And the other thing about this anti-Semitism narrative is that it is really a narrative amongst the ruling class of this country itself. If you remember, they had this massive attack before the local elections on the Green Party, and yet the Green Party gained hundreds of seats. It didn't affect its electoral chances. It's very easy to call out the fact, and most people understand, that when you criticize Israel, you're not being anti-Semitic. It's just like terrorism. Their definition of terrorism is not our definition of terrorism. What they mean is we're attacking friends of theirs who are dictators and repressive regimes. Our understanding of terrorism is what Israel does when it bombs a refugee camp, for example, and drops a £2,000 bomb in it. So we are talking a different language from those who rule us. And we have to be, I think, understand that. And as far as the Green Party is concerned, we have to be quite clear. It's no use simply condemning the human rights abuses. You have to condemn the ideology and the movement that led up to them. And that means Zionism itself. And Zionism, as I said before, only has meaning for those who experience it, and that is the Palestinians. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you to the speakers, Heather and Feda, and everyone who's contributed to this
Sabine
webinar.
put her hand up. Maybe we could give her the last word.
Oh, Sabine. Okay. Yeah, I didn't see you.
No, thank you very much. I'm not going to contribute anything spectacular to be worthy of a last word, but I just wanted to echo a little bit what the previous speaker said about apologizing. And I have So I was suspended, and so I've written a kind of letter explaining what happened without actually saying what happened because it's still under investigation. And then I did apologise, and I apologised because lots of Green Party members obviously are door knocking and having to, this is all blown up. And so I kind of apologize for that. But at the same time, it really echoes what the previous speaker has said, that it doesn't sit well to apologize. Well, actually, I put that in the letter, that I put thought-provoking and challenging things on my post, that they on my feed, and they happen to pick up on one that is a bit suspect or something, and they've missed out a whole load of stuff that would certainly make people stop and think. But it was that thing about apologizing, that I apologize profusely, that it has impacted, like some people didn't get voted in, that maybe were a bit more marginal and they worked hard and they had no reason to be caught up in quite that way. But everything else, I don't really see what I'm apologizing for. Maybe I shouldn't really, I don't mean to say it quite that forthrightly, but that's what I mean, is like, it is in the context of a genocide. This is horrific, and we need to say more, not say less. I'll stop there because that's all I wanted to say.
Okay.
These are quite good last words, actually. To be honest.
Thank you.
Mohammed.
Yeah, hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, sorry, I'm really sorry, guys. I was supposed to meet much earlier. I did download everything, but my app wasn't working for some reason.
Don't worry.
But my apologies. I know I just got the last end of it. You guys probably have already discussed this. But the word itself, like we're talking about anti-Semitism, right? So we have Aziz Hakimi in Haverstock. I'm sure you guys heard of him, right? The question is, if that gentleman has committed a crime of being anti-Semitic, shouldn't people like him or a person like him be arrested and follow the procedures of the law of the land? None of that had happened because he hasn't committed such crime, right? Even the people who are of Jewish faith have also said that this is not anti-Semitic, right? But unfortunately, the Greens seem to think otherwise. So are they really, the question is, are they really left, or are they just trying to just ramp up some votes and support just to show people that they actually mean something? Because at the moment, it doesn't look like they're standing for anything. Because you have to have certain level of grit, certain level of wit to actually stand against any form of oppression. You have to show elements of resistance. But it seems like to me, whatever the Labour Party or anyone throw at them, they just seem to just be absorbing it and actually entertaining every single piece of smearing campaign. So they haven't really stood by the people at all. And this is why I'm thinking, like, do they really have anything to go by? Because it seems very, very distasteful, and it's been very, very much hurting the community, especially the ethnic minority, or you can say global majority, people who come from different backgrounds. Now, if you think about Aziz Hakimi, he's from Afghan background, right? Then there are other people I can mention who actually have been sort of like sidelined. So the question lies, does the Green really represent the left that they're thinking or they're saying that they're representing? That's the question that needs to be answered by the Green, generally, locally, nationally, and regionally.
Okay.
And that's my point. So I hope I made my point clear.
Sure.
Because you know what, the element, because of anti-Semitism, it is being weaponized to be used against people who are absolutely not anti-Semitic at all. They're just saying right is right, wrong is wrong. If a crime is committed, it doesn't matter who it's committed by.
Yeah,
you call out for the crime what it is. Simple.
We have kind of covered this ground, so I'm going
to
stop you there. Thank you.
Okay. Well, again, I'd like to thank, and I think we do now have to conclude this. It's been a good discussion, and the speakers have been brilliant. And I think we need to go on from this and make sure that the Green Party isn't allowed to drop its support for the Palestinians because of the vocal lobbying of certain Zionists within it. So once again, thank you very much, and I hope everything is well with you.